This right here is the S3 Magazine podcast. I am Wooly. The dude kind of embarrassed of me in the red shirt is Mike Sanders. And the guy in the little Wookiee hoodie is none other than Ben Battles. He's been on here before. He also helps out with the magazine a lot as far as content goes. He's one hell of a photographer. And he's got his own social media thing going on TikTok, and lately your Instagram has blown the hell up. I don't know how you do it, but what is it? Is it Battles Digital?
Yeah.
And TikTok is Battles Digital, or is it the Gambler Civic?
It's the Gambler Civic on TikTok.
Okay, so yeah, y'all look that up. Anyway, Ben Battles is a Chattanooga native. Born and raised, and just last weekend he got to be you got invited, which was like a big deal, because didn't you say there's only like 4 people? I'll let you tell the story. Only a few people got invited to go film and photograph and document Rally USA coming to test out some Chattanooga back roads and trails and stuff. So anyway, explain it to us like we know nothing, because we kind of know nothing.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal because, rallycross isn't really a super prevalent motorsport in most of North America. While it is a very high form of motorsport around the world, internationally, it's got a humongous fan base. But the WRC hasn't been in North America in like 35 years or something like that, longer than I've been alive. But this event from Rally USA was kind of aimed squarely at bringing the WRC back to the United States by saying, hey, we've got some really cool stuff that we can lay out,
So if people don't know anything, WRC is what? World Rally Challenge. And that's the international, that's the Formula One of rally.
Yes,
World Rally. The big dogs. Those are the totally ludicrous nuts guys. So like they have not been to the U.S. in 35 years, and they're thinking about it, or we're trying to lure them in, or what? Is that the deal?
I don't know the exact specifics of how the conversation came about, but the gist of it is that they're at least showing interest or gauging it. And this event with Rally USA was kind of that gauge of like, is this something that we can do? And it was a 3-day long event, to my knowledge, or 2-day long event. They had a public opening on Friday that was basically like, everybody come into town, check all this out. We've got drivers. We've invited people from around the rally community. There were drivers that were not participating that were just like genuinely interested in coming to see what something like this could possibly be. I met a few of those guys. All the rally guys are super cool folks, but that was totally open. They had a little event down at the Chattanooga Choo Choo, which is like a hotel / convention center / bunch of stuff. Anyway, it's local touristy type stuff. They brought out all the cars, all the drivers, had a little meet and greet, stuff like that, and that was totally open to the public. But on Saturday, they had a demonstration event, and the demonstration event was something that I was interested in attending, just to go get some photos, document it, and really, really see what was going on, more than just be on the surface of just, hey, there's some cars going around the course. But it was actually way, way harder. Like, I don't think I really wrote about this in the article that I just put out, but I had to get the mayor of our city of Soddy Daisy to get in contact with a member of the Chamber of Commerce to basically write a letter of recommendation as to why I should be there, just to get my name on the list. I kid you not. It was like this total long vetted out process, and like it was legit at the end of the day. Hey, I went there, I made it. I was one of like 4 or 5 like media-esque people that weren't there doing like radio communications or track marshaling, or one of the event organizers or EMS or whatever. Like just me, a couple of other photographers from Alabama, and then there were some guys that were there with one of the race sponsors, or like one of the car sponsors. I forget the name of it. It's in the article, but yeah. So I felt really honored to be there. Yeah, it was really really cool. So what specifically do you want to know about like the event? Because like I can tell you all about it.
Well, I mean, okay, so if I understand this right, and tell me if I don't, Rally USA is poking around trying to test a few different locations that would be strategically good for a lot of reasons for Rally USA to hold an event and then maybe ultimately WRC. Is that it?
So Rally USA, to my knowledge, right now is scheduled to hold an event to the public in September where everybody can come. It's going to be like a legit rally event. They don't have the exact dates, to my knowledge, right now. They say they're still working on that, as well as like the actual locations or TBD. They just know that they want Chattanooga to kind of be like the hub, the host city, and that makes sense geographically, because it's like really close to Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours in every direction. You've got Smoky Mountains, you've got all kinds of wide varieties of different terrain types and elevation changes, and the weather dynamic here is really unique. Like it's its own microclimate essentially. So you've got all this different things that go into making this event like potentially huge. But yeah, they're going to be having that. The whole thing with them trying to bring the WRC to the United States is like they're basically trying to win them on the location of Southeast Tennessee, because we're not the only game in town. There's also some places out west. I can't remember the exact cities that they're thinking about, but there's a couple of different areas that apparently the WRC is looking at to come back to the US. So Rally USA was kind of like, let's get together and show them why Tennessee is going to be the best. And, you know, the event on Saturday kind of showcased those reasons, like check the box. You've got the weather. It was just pouring rain. There was not a single dry spot on any of us after the event, but that made for good photos, good commentary, great racing action, because these cars, I mean, they're sliding around. You know, even though it's on the roads, it became mud by the end of it. Matter of fact, Rally USA released a statement the day after the event saying that they're working with local groups and stuff to basically rebuild the roads that they screwed up on Saturday, which was hilarious. It's like, well, yeah, no, duh. It's going to happen no matter where you go. These cars are going to rip up whatever surface they're on, but that's besides the point. So the weather was great in my book. And the elevation, where it was actually held, I was told to meet with everybody up the Hiwassee River in Reliance, Tennessee, which is about an hour and a half outside of Chattanooga, up the Hiwassee River. And we were told to meet at 7 a.m. before dawn at the back of like a river rafting boathouse, like old rundown, like wild stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm out here with no cell service. And I'm like, well, this is either I'm going to be here and everyone's going to be here, or I'm going to be the only idiot hanging out outside of this shack at 7 a.m. with no cell service and nobody to contact. So I'm like, that's great. But everybody ended up showing up, and then we had to drive another 20 minutes up into the mountains of this hidden creek campground that was up there. And all it was just switchbacks up and down the mountain, like between 6 and 8 miles of it. And then there was like base camp type setting where they had like the radio communications and like the pit area and stuff like that they had set up there, which was really cool. But like as far as the elevation, the dynamic of that was like, man, if you're wanting something that offers you like not only the switchbacks but also a fair amount of just flat out areas to go and race, that was one of them. And Tennessee is full of roads like that. It's not just that one little cool campground area that's great. It's like, no, ask any redneck dude here in the backwoods, and they'll be like, I'm going to tell you somewhere you can go and rock this razor out to top speed, buddy. And, you know, it's just like off-roading is like in our blood here. Yeah. So it's like you can go anywhere around here on top of any mountain and find roads just like that. So you can have multiple stages. With huge events like the WRC, it's not just one place and one race and that's it. It's multiple stages across multiple roads. And Tennessee offers all of that. And on top of like mixed road surfaces, like we've got like a Red Clay State Park local to where I'm at. It's like 30 minutes outside of town. So you got clay, sand, silt, dirt, mud, asphalt, tarmac. Everything is here on top of the elevation change and the climate. So it's like you've got it all. But then the point brings up like, how can the city handle it? Something like this, because like internationally, WRC brings hundreds of thousands, not just tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of spectators. That's a lot. So it brings potentially a lot of revenue for the city, but also the city has to accommodate for that many people. Luckily, Chattanooga is kind of one of those areas where you can afford that, because going back to like saying we're an hour and a half away from Knoxville, Nashville, Atlanta. If Chattanooga as a hub city, as a host, runs out of hotel space for 150,000 people, not far down the road, you can definitely stay and just make a trek every day for people that are coming from, you know, across the country for an event like this potentially in the future, you know? So it's like everything makes sense.
And Chattanooga is quickly becoming kind of an automotive town, like an automotive hub. They do, what's the Concours, you know, like the ritzy thing that they do in fall. They got a lot of stuff going on, man. They're turning it up. It's almost, if you guys are on the other part of the country, it's almost starting to have like this Monterey, you know, Carmel type of vibe. There is and when you were sitting there talking about that, like, if you guys aren't familiar with the region, like where North Georgia and Tennessee and North Carolina all come together, Eastern Tennessee, it's gorgeous, man. It's beautiful. It's like he was saying, the elevation is real, but it's not so drastic that you can't travel it. You know what I mean? Like you can drive up and down these mountains pretty spiritedly, and it's a lot of fun, and it's full of forest. And don't move here, by the way. We're full. But it's full of forest, and it does get a lot of rain. We get a unique weather pattern, like he was saying. Like a lot of times that air moves down kind of the Appalachian Mountains, and so it creates just weird stuff. It's like you said in the article, it can be 90 degrees and sunny one day. It can be like 50 and raining the next. You know what I mean? Like it can go anywhere. It's a great place to go wheeling in this same region, and we take our Jeeps up there all the time for that very reason, man, because you hit it, it's tight. You know, the forest makes it tight. Like out west, it's like wide open. You know what I mean? But like here, it's tight, and it can be muddy, and there's a lot of stuff you got to watch out for. And if you guys know at all, like this region has some of the best driving roads, you know, in the entire country. So there's a lot of reasons why you might want to do it here, not to mention, you know, drawing crowds. Like car culture is still very real in the hills of Tennessee. You know what I mean? It's not like California where you're going to get people out there picketing because of the emissions or something like that. Like these guys are going to love it. Like not only is like the motorsports guys going to love it, but all them bubbas that you're talking about that grew up on the Razors and the old, you know, XJ Cherokees and all that, they've been wheeling since they were in diapers. I've seen it. Like they're out there, and they're going to love this stuff, man. I think it's going to bring people out like a college football game. I really do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% correct about that. And going back to like how Chattanooga and the surrounding areas kind of become, you know, a place for motorsports and motoring in general. We've got Flat Rock Motorsports Park opening up here later on this year, anticipated to be. And it's a like Grand Prix level circuit that's going up just an hour north of Chattanooga. And that's already bringing in a whole different kind of clientele than Chattanooga and the surrounding areas are really used to, which is great. We need that. And as of recently, in the past few years, the Chattanooga Motor Car Festival has brought in that concourse level of people with these like high and multi-million-dollar show cars. And it brings in a huge crowd from all over, and all these commentators and motorsports announcers from all over come to Chattanooga for that event specifically. Mecum Auctions has offered up a spot here over the past couple of years in Chattanooga to sell cars, like, and put it on their official calendar. Like, all these big events kind of go and coincide with our existing off-road stuff. Like, we've got Windrock Park, which is a very popular off-roading destination about an hour and a half north of us, right outside of Knoxville. That's super popular. And then you've got one of the local parks here that's like, you've got two actually in Chattanooga that are like super famous. You've got Prentice Cooper State Park, which is like one of my favorite places to go and shoot photos of off-road cars. I actually took photos of Sean's 55 Pontiac that was lifted with the LS and the big mud tires up there. And then there's this place called Big Fork that's on the opposite mountain that is like, it's unreal, the kind of stuff you can get up into. That's where I shot the old 59, was it? The dually lifted Plymouth, whatever it was.
Are you talking about the Packard?
The Packard, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, that car doesn't exist anymore, but it was still cool. Yeah.
Is it not? Wait,
yeah.
hold on. Not to get off topic. What happened?
Owner of it, my friend, he's kept it under wraps. It exists, but not in the state that we remember it at from years ago. Like, it's being worked on to become this ultimate giga car that I can't wait to show. But yeah, they're working on it right now. I honestly have not seen and laid eyes on that car since the day that I went and took photos of it. But anyway, you've got all of these different parks and all these different branches of the automotive field kind of coming together. And it would make sense to tie everything together with rally cross, whatever it is, a higher form of off-road racing, and bring it to Chattanooga. I think it would work. And obviously the organizers think it would work too. Everyone I talked to over this weekend, over the course of Saturday, they all basically said the same thing. It's like, if we can, as a city, obtain the proper funding and stuff like that, advertising, kind of like how the Motor Car Festival had to do, basically just shove it out in front of everybody's eyes and make people aware of it, then it'll be a huge success.
Dude, I was just thinking you should talk to your mayor friend or whoever it is that you had to go through. Like, Chattanooga needs an automotive Olympics. They could literally do it. And if Rally's talking about coming in September, isn't the motor car thing in October? Like, imagine if you had some sort of like real rally, like Forest Rally. You had like a rally cross. You had, some sort of jeeping off-road overland adventure thing. You had some sort of motorsports thing going on. Like, you could do all of that in 1 week and just bring everybody in. That would be amazing. You heard it here first. It's never going to happen. But no, honestly, like, I was making a little note when you were talking, like, WRC does need to come here, and that Olympics thing should be considered, because motorsports breeds a love for cars. Like, motorsports is dying, and likewise, so is car culture and passionate cars. Like, we've been around our whole lives, that whole thing is kind of dying due to technology and due to the way that, whatever automotive stuff is being mandated and pushed and all that kind of stuff. And I think part of that does fall on, like, We got to have more motorsports here. We got to have a way to get people to it. A lot of the motorsports events that we have in this country are inside of a super speedway, and they're like contained. You know what I mean? And like all you see if you were to drive by is like people tailgating, but like the action is inside. You know what I mean? And you can't see that. Rally puts it out there. You know what I mean? Anybody that lives within 7 miles is going to hear those things go, you know, and they're going to hear them go, and it's going to draw people, man. That's what it does. And you know, it enables fathers like me and Mike to take our kids to these things and for them to get super inspired, like I was when I was going to 24 hours with my dad or whatever, you know, and that kind of stuff plants seeds. Like you can't expect car culture to continue when we're not doing any car culture stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man. I think just to save motorsports, they need to try and make this happen. I know it's impossible. I know you're not going to have record crowds the first year, but I bet you're going to make one hell of a stir the first year, you know, and then that second and third year, it's going to get serious.
Yeah, and I think that's what Rally USA is kind of aiming to do with this event in September, is to drum up that hype. So when I went on Saturday, it was like, I'm trying to drum up the hype for people to get ready for the September event.
Right.
The September event is drumming up hype to potentially bring the WRC along, and then when they come, it's just, you know, just spiral it out of control. But the thing about them returning to the U.S., and it's something that I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about or mention, is, you know, like, it seems like stuff like the WRC globally, go look at some old photos and footage of like Group B Rally and stuff like that, you know, when Rally was at its peak, I guess. Like, I hate to be that guy. I wasn't alive during this time. So, but historically, you look at that and you see people like, here's the car and here are the people right here, like moving out of the way, a sea of people moving out of the way. And that's what I think of when I hear the word rally, is that right there. It's gonna be nerfed to some degree, especially in the United States. When you take it to a country like Brazil or Finland or something where rally is their life and culture, and that is their lifeblood when it comes to motorsports, right? You're gonna get those scenes. But then you've got companies like OSHA here in the US that are gonna be like, hey, and, you know, the Department of Transportation, Safety and Health, like, everybody's going to be involved in this to make sure that it goes safely as well. So I don't know, you know, but at the same time, it's still going to be a spectator sport, because you're still going to have cars flinging dirt every 2 seconds, you know, I mean, just flying, going sideways. Like from what I saw from the rally cars, they had some Fiesta RSs, which are the wide body, like factory prep race cars. Those things were completely sideways, like every other corner. And they were just doing it for fun. Like, honestly, they were getting it. But, you know, that's just something to consider, is like, I don't really know all of the logistics, nor do I want to pretend like I know what it's going to be like. But I can only imagine it's not going to be to that same level just because of health and safety reasons. But still, nonetheless, it'll be an incredible thing. I can guarantee you that. People are going to show up from all over. Rally fans. I mean, I've been like, I put a video on my Instagram, just put a little short clip together of my experience there over the weekend, and it got shared around a little bit, and I got some messages from people overseas saying like, hey, we follow this stuff everywhere. If it comes to the US, we will come to the US. We're talking internationally. People that could be like, oh, I'll walk out of my house and see them fly past my French, ranch or whatever. And then they're like, but we'll also fly 2,500 miles away just to come watch them on your soil. Like, that's commitment. That is something that motorsport doesn't really have very much of anymore. So it's like, it makes me very excited at the potential of this becoming something massive.
Yeah, dude. And I love the fact that it's been so long since WRC's been here that it's kind of like starting all over again, man. You can just kind of, we're all in it. We're all brand new. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's creating brand new fans. And that's kind of exciting. It's like you mentioned in your article, like I hadn't been this kind of just excited about the idea of a motorsports event in a long time, man. Like, I mean, rally is, I guess, arguably the most badass motorsports. You know, like it is crazy. It's freaking nuts. And I don't know, man. I would love to see it. Is there anything that people can do to get involved? I know you had mentioned volunteer. How do you do that? Is there anybody, I don't know, can we write somebody and say, hey, hell yeah, bring it to Chattanooga? You know what I mean? Like, do you know anything about that? Is there anything that we can do to get ready for September and get pumped?
It seems like the folks at Rally USA pretty much have it under control. They've done their homework in a way of like, we have the Chattanooga Tourism Department, and they're kind of what's been the lifeblood of this whole project, going through them to make sure that we get proper resources and everything goes off without a hitch with this kind of stuff. I think, like you said, man, going and volunteering, you know, it's going to be the best way to get as close to the action as possible with this stuff. Like they had VIPs at this event. If Saturday's demonstration event is anything like the September test event, anybody who's got this VIP, like visitor, guest, volunteer pass, whatever you want to call it, gets right up next. You can walk right next to the cars, go through the pits, go through everything, be up right next to all the action. If you are like a corner marshal, you'll get to sit on the track and call in like radio signs and stuff like that and feel like all official. You get to see these cars fly past you at triple digit speeds, literally just like right in front of your eyes. Like, it's wild. It's scary. It is terrifying to watch these cars go past you that close at that kind of speed, like seemingly out of control, but the driver, going like this, and you're like, oh, yeah. Anyway, but that would be what I would recommend. If the WRC ends up coming into town, they're going to need something like 2,000 volunteers. That's a lot of people. And so it's just bodies. And I know that there are that many people that are willing to get up close with this kind of action and be involved in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of telling people, hey, here's how you can do it, and then getting them to actually go and do it, you know? Yeah, I think it should go off without a hitch. Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, and the website, if anybody listening wants to explore, you know, the volunteer stuff or anything else, it's Rally USA Official, right?
Yes, RallyUSAOfficial.com. Took me a minute to find it, but it is there.
Yeah, just in case you guys don't see it pop up, because when you throw it in on Google, it brings up a bunch of other media sites and stuff like that, which are all cool. Go look at them. But Rally USA Official is the website, and I think that's also their Instagram too as well.
Yes.
Instagram was easier to find. Yeah. Okay, I guess that about does it. You got anything, Mike? I know we just threw you on here at the last second and said we're gonna talk about rally.
No, I was listening to you guys the whole time. It's awesome. But I was kind of looking up, you know, the history of it and what they are planning on doing here. And I found an article from last year, but I do think it's probably relevant to what we're talking about. It says the World Rally Championship is evaluating a number of locations for its first USA rally in more than 3 decades. And it does look like it's been right about 35 years. I think the last time they were here, they were in Washington State. So they're looking at Washington State again. The Great Smokies, Ben, that's you. A section of the Appalachian Range and New England, and a stretch of the Rocky Mountains between Utah and Colorado. Those are kind of the spots they're looking at right.
And to be honest, man, the U.S. has got vast landscapes. And I was talking to Justin Okamoto, and he was like, man, it needs to be in all of those places. Like, you know, like you got to go out to the redwoods, you know, like the Pacific Northwest and all that stuff. you got to go to Chattanooga because Chattanooga's got great landscape and a lot of draw. You know, it'll draw the whole Southeast. It's strategically located out there in the desert, dude. Arizona, Colorado, Santa Fe, all that stuff, man. That would be killer. And of course, you know, up there in the Midwest and Northeast, man, for those guys. But why not, dude? Why not? While you're here, just kind of go doop, 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 doop. And hell, F1's here now, and they're coming more and more. You know what I mean? That's probably what kind of, you know, sparked it a little bit, if I had to guess.
Yeah, you know, as soon as I started hearing about this, that was the first thing that came to mind is how F1 gained so much popularity and so much value, let's call it what it is, by basically getting that consumer base here in the U.S. Now, I think a lot of that had to do with the Netflix series that's been out. What is it?
Yeah.
Drive 5, I believe. That's been pretty instrumental in the whole thing. But it shows that the United States does want racing. Like, we do want motorsports, and this is a great way to do it. And I agree. I think it would be great to see all of these locations picked because the U.S. is a massive place, and like none of these are like the others. Every bit of landscape and drive is polar, totally different. If they were to hit all these places, it would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I guess we'll call it there. Ben, dude, thank you. Thank you so much. You want to plug anything? Go ahead and plug your TikTok and your Instagram again. Why not?
Sure, yeah. I'm on TikTok at The Gambler Civic. I upload a bunch of car stuff, travel stuff, just anything I feel like really on there. I don't know. And then my Instagram at battles.digital. That's where I upload daily videos of weird, obscure, quirky cars and tell you about them.
Yeah, Ben is like a quirky, weird right-hand drive JDM importing car nut. So it's like the K cars, the oddballs, the funny, like, what do you drive? What is that thing called?
What? The step wagon?
Yeah, the step wagon. Yeah, it's like this teeny tiny little Honda right-hand drive minivan thing we were cruising around the other week. Anyway, and to plug us, we're S3 Magazine. If you're not familiar with us, we printed a magazine for like 16 or 17 years, but then the world went in the toilet and the cost of paper went in the stratosphere. So now we are doing a free app. It's free. It's free. It's called S3 Magazine. It's on Apple and Android. Go check it out. It's just car culture in general and mediocre to bad life advice and yeah, stuff like that. You know, a heavily biased news from a car enthusiast perspective, and stuff like that. So anyway, check us out. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in frickin' September in Chattanooga.
Hell yeah. Take care, guys.
Peace.